probably already heard, ATD forces us to do institutionally what we ought to be doing anyway. You know, the data collection, the data-driven decision-making, the impact of student success, the institutional advancement piece, these are things that we ought to be doing anyway. But I'm sure you also recognize that it's easy, Carol talked about silos, it's easy for us to become institutional silos. Boy, we all get very busy doing our jobs to serve our students. But what happens within ATD, and we were a DEI school, DEI is just getting ready to come to a close, is that you become very much an institutional community of learners. You know, when I walk into a room, and it happened today, it kind of blows my mind, when I walked in and I introduced myself and I say I'm from Patrick Henry, and she says, gosh, we've heard so much about Patrick Henry. You know, we are a tiny little school in Southern Virginia that is struggling with 20% unemployment, and somebody from one of the big boys say, we know all about Patrick Henry. You know, that's very heartening for me to know that the work that Valencia is doing, the work that Sinclair is doing, is viewed equally with the work that Patrick Henry's doing. In fact, you know, you get that kind of lump in your throat when you realize that you're not just impacting your 2,000 students, but you're impacting tens of thousands of students with the work that you're doing. Because of Patrick Henry's success with cooperative learning, we have been able to train now dozens and dozens of schools through several mechanisms. We will soon be announcing a mechanism by which we can do that virtually for free now because of work that's been done. There is zero competition in ATD. There is zero competition in I want to one-up you. The entire network is dedicated to how do we get students across the finish line? How do we get them to maximize their achievement, maximize their resources, and get them to where they want to go in as little time as possible. And you know, the national spotlight is shining on community colleges very brightly right now. And so we have got to strike right now while that spotlight is shining. And I'll just say one other thing. Because of these mentoring partnerships and relationships with other schools, you know, 3 weeks ago, about 6 weeks ago, I was finishing up a grant and to submit, and I wanted some letters of support for other colleges that we've trained. And so I shot out quick emails, and Dr. Murray from Phillips, and the president at Sinclair, and the president at Texarkana all immediately shot me back letters of support because we had trained them in cooperative learning. A little tiny itty-bitty school in Southwest Virginia is getting, you know, letters of support from big presidents across the country. And we say this often, but in ATD, it really is true. There are no big me's and little you's. You know, we are all learning from each other in dynamic, incredible ways.
I think I want to add one thing. I think that one thing that we get from achieving the dream that is so powerful is the communication, is the being able to talk about best practices with other institutions and to form partnerships and alliances and to actually just be around people who have the same heart that you do. I know that we had a student at one of the Dream conferences, and he came back and he told me, he said, Carol, he said, I could tell that every single person in that room cared about me and my future and where I was going with my life. And that is so powerful to just hear it from our students on our campuses and to know that we have this great, wonderful network that we can call each other and we can email each other and we can have that wonderful communication from Achieving the Dream, because they do a fantastic job with their newsletters and focusing on what's going on at the institution. So I think, you know, to me, added value in the communication and the collaborative spirit that happens through this particular initiative is something that's so very valuable.
Thank you. You touched on this next question a little bit, but I want to give you an opportunity to respond. In what ways can these grants have a positive impact on other colleges, both inside and outside the ATD Reform Network?
I'll start with that one. Again, Patrick Henry has had a tremendous amount of success because of cooperative learning. And we have formed various agencies and organizations through which we've been able to train other colleges in cooperative learning. A lot of those have been achieving the dream. Many of them have not been. We've trained the entire West Virginia community college system now in cooperative learning, and none of them are in achieving the dream yet. It's not because I haven't sold it to them, hook, line, and sinker. And when you are an ATD school, that shows that you've done a lot of work. You know, when you are a ATD leader school, you don't get there just because, I'm not trying to brag, yeah, I am bragging on us. I sure am. You don't get there because of micro changes. When you say that you're an ATD leader school, that means you've got some big successes somewhere. You know, she was talking about the gatekeeper math. I love bragging about the fact that our gatekeeper math percentage rates now are up to 80%. Now, we started at 25%, and I'm embarrassed by that. When I tell you that our algebra scores, pass rates, were at 25%, that, you know, any course that I supervise that has that kind of pass rate, you know, it kicks me in the gut. But now I can stand and say that for 4 years we're at 80%. And it's because of ATD, and it's because of cooperative learning. So when we talk about partnerships, both within ATD and external to ATD, there are some heavy, heavy issues that we've been allowed to dive into. You know, another thing that is incredibly fortunate is that, well, we don't mind bragging about our good things, but there is no judgment when you say we're struggling with African American males. Nobody looks down at you. When you say we've got a 25% increase, and we do in 3-year graduation rates, but that brought us to 40%. You know, and I say this all the time, if I went to a doctor or a surgeon that said I'm successful on 40% of my patients, the other 60% I lose, I'm finding me another doctor. So we are quick to say, boy, look at all the great things we're doing, but we're also, everyone is quick to say, we got a lot of work yet to do. And if you've got great suggestions, man, we sure want to hear it. I spent 12 years in K-12 education, and I used to tell folks all the time, a good teacher's a good thief, because if it works, steal it. And so if we find things that another institution is doing and it's applicable to our student body and our population, by golly, give me a pen and paper, I'm going to write it down, we're going to steal it, and we're going to try it. And you've got the research to back it. I don't have to spend 2 years piloting it up. We're going to dive right in.
Plagiarism is the highest form of flattery, but I'm very new to this. I've just retired from Lockheed Martin, and what you were saying is a validation of the failure of the public school system.
You know what? Can I address that real quickly?
Absolutely.
This is kind of the philosophy that we've adopted on our campus. Community colleges consistently, and I'm not saying you're doing this, community colleges blame the high schools. The high schools blame the middle schools. And the middle schools blame the elementary schools.
They blame the parents.
And the elementary schools blame the preschool teachers, and the preschool teachers blame the parents. And at some point, while I'll agree with you, at some point we have to stop and say, these are the students I've got. I've got X amount of time to get them where they need to go. I'm going to form partnerships with those public schools, and we have extensive partnerships and shared extensive data. But we're not going to, we're going to stop blaming, start working with them, and take the students we've got and do the best we can with while we've got them. And I know that's not what you're saying, but I think within the ATD network there is this culture that says we've got to take them where they are and get them through much quicker than what we've ever gotten them through before, and get them on to their next thing in a much, much more expeditious fashion, regardless of why they got to where they're there.
Please, I understand. But my focus now, Colorado College, or Pikes Peak community in the Colorado Springs area, is I've got a wave of young men and women coming from combat. And I got to transition them into society.
Absolutely.
And so achieving the dream isn't what I'm going to go pursue it, because there's pockets in college
absolutely. And I would argue that achieving the dream is very much a mechanism that can assist you in that
That's
endeavor.
what I was gonna
Yeah,
pursue.
absolutely. In fact, I told these ladies earlier, achieving the dream is not just an initiative for us. It's really become the umbrella under which our whole student advancement process is functioning. You know, SACS accreditation became an ATD effort. You know, everything that we do, we've got data because of ATD. You will shut me up and take over.
It's become part of the culture. I mean, I rarely hear the faculty talk about achieving the dream. It's
It's who
just
we
what
are.
we do and who we are as an institution. And I'll talk a little bit about quality and continuous quality improvement, because I think that is also what this program is about. Achieving the dream, it really helps you take a look and examine yourself as an institution. Most of the regional accrediting bodies, I know North Central Association, Higher Learning Commission, has moved toward the quality initiatives. We are an AQUIP school, Academic Quality Improvement Program school, and that is something that came out of achieving the dream for us. Institutions that participate in achieving the dream and the related grant initiatives of achieving the dream are focusing on a culture of evidence. And I think that coming from an aerospace background, you can certainly appreciate that. And in our case, for at least 5 years, we've been really good about taking the data and leveraging the data for additional grants on our campus in different areas. We also have a huge military population, and we are a military-friendly school, and we have a lot of folks coming back that need a lot of help. And so, in fact, I know that we have 632 veterans on our campus. I happen to know that number because I needed it for a grant the other day. But so it's about quality. It's about continuous quality improvement, and it's about making things better. And we are pursuing other opportunities based on our participation in achieving the dream. We are seeing our students succeed. I will tell you that we have one of the most fabulous orientation and advising programs based on our participation in achieving the dream, and we would be happy to share any of that information with your institutions, because it has been so successful, and that's what led to our becoming a leader college. You know, sometimes grants are very labor intensive for our faculty and for our staff, and we want our faculty members to love to see us coming with new ideas, and we want them to bring, in the advancement arena, ideas to us. And most certainly, it's important to have buy-in from everyone in your institution, but because of achieving the dream, you hear the word engagement a lot. And so that automatically means and leads to buy-in. So I think that's something that has done for our campus in particular. It has created not only the culture of evidence, but it has created a collaborative spirit at our institution and also within the entire Achieving the Dream network.